I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, we've got a federal election coming up later this month. Let's talk about the policies or what the three major parties are promising us this year in the form of buying our vote. Of course, housing is at the forefront for this one. Now, first off, a few things. If you guys think I'm going to do a real deep dive on what the three parties are offering here, especially when it comes to housing, this isn't the blog for you. I'm going to talk about it here, but I'm not going to get too deep into it because, as you guys know, I don't pay much attention to politics. Let me put out my caveat that I've always been using. Governments are not your friend. You might think they are. They're not going to help you in any way. When you vote this coming month here, what I recommend and what my mentors always used to tell me is you vote for the party that you think is going to have the least amount of interference with you on your road to success. Whatever party that is, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but vote for the party that you think is going to interfere with you the least. They all are terrible, all the three parties, in my opinion. None of them are great. You kind of plug your nose and vote for the one, again, I do anyways, that is going to cause the least amount of interference with me, whatever party that is. But the other thing I want to stress is get out and vote. I have the right to complain about government, which I do fairly frequently on this blog, because I vote. I've always voted. I vote in the municipal elections, city elections here, provincially and federally. So I'm allowed to complain. You know, half of Canadians don't even vote. So if you want to complain about government, at least get out and vote. So let's talk about housing is at the forefront. Actually, as you guys know, I get a lot of my news from the Wall Street Journal. So the Wall Street Journal, August 29th Wall Street Journal, had a fairly in-depth story here on the federal election and how the housing promises that all three parties are doling out. So that's where I get a lot of my news from the Wall Street Journal. So I'll talk about that. But they're all promising the moon here, of course, with housing. We're all going to make homes more affordable. Housing is too expensive in Canada. We've heard all this before. They do seem to be attacking more of the supply side. They all have got pledged to build a lot more homes because we're not building enough homes. We've got more buyers than there are sellers. The cavalry, as far as the Lower Mainland here especially, is not on the way. Developers have not been building much, especially since COVID started. It's that coiled spring I've been talking about for many years here. Even if they start building today, it's going to be years before that product hits the market. So we've got a real supply shortage here for sure. They're all talking about building more homes. Now, all I can say is I don't know where they're going to build all these homes. It's definitely not going to be in Vancouver. Are you kidding me? Working with the City of Vancouver with all their red tape, restrictions, bureaucracy, getting approvals. It's not going to happen. I don't know where they're hoping to build these houses. Not much in the Lower Mainland anyways. Maybe in some of these smaller cities in the province and in the other parts of Canada where real estate is a lot more affordable than what it is here. I think of all the three parties, though, and I'm not telling you how to vote, I think, you know, the one that's going to give you the most, because as far as building more homes, that could be decades away. The one party that is going to give you some tangible relief would be the Conservatives, the PC. They are announced that they would get rid of the stress test. And I've done many blogs on the stress test. Go back and watch my other blogs on it. I'm not a fan of the stress test. I understand, and it's not coming from me as a realtor. It's making no difference to my business. I've got all the business I can handle. But the stress test, it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I understand what they want to do with the stress test because there are some people out there, that foolish people, that will take on too much debt. They're not responsible. Now, you're very difficult to do that through the big Canadian banks. They will not let you over leverage. You have to give pretty much your firstborn and your right arm to get qualified for a mortgage. But then adding that extra 2 or 2.5% stress test, it cut affordability by about 20%. There are some people that are not going to use credit. Are there people that when we do finally get those interest rate hikes are going to be in trouble and maybe not able to make the payments? Absolutely. A lot of it, though, would be triggered with job loss or disability or that kind of thing. And that's just life. Nothing's going to change there. But to save a few, you're taking thousands and thousands of well-qualified, responsible people out of the housing market. You know, what they could afford at $600K with the stress test, now they've got to go down to $525. And in an expensive city like Vancouver, that can leave them out of the market and in that renter treadmill for a long period of time. So I think that's probably the most tangible campaign promise here, is getting rid of that stress test. That would be instantaneous. It would immediately improve affordability by 15 to 20%, especially in an expensive city like Vancouver. So if you're a young person, that's probably the most tangible promise there that the Conservatives. The other thing that Conservatives want to do is start to encourage or promote longer term mortgages, 7, 8, 10-year fixed term mortgages. As you guys know, in the States, you can buy a 25-year fixed. And that is powerful. I think we should be actually pushing 10, 15, we should even be looking at 25-year fixed term mortgages. Because you're talking about the stress test and the worries of increased interest rates, and there's only one way to go from here. How about introducing a 20 or 25-year fixed term? That takes all the guesswork and all the uncertainty out of the equation. You can lock in a 25-year mortgage for, I don't know, 3.5%, 4%, let's call it. Now you know what your interest rate is going to be for the life of your home. But the Conservatives want to introduce a 10-year fixed. I'm all for that. I think that would be a good move. But again, vote for the party. Get out and vote. They're all inept. Vote for the party that's going to give you the less interference. Pay your taxes. Renew your driver's license and passport. Do whatever you can, though, to distance yourself from the government. They're not here to help you. Concentrate and spend that time working on yourself. Back to City of Vancouver. It's funny now how all these federal campaign promises are talking about supply, and I'm with them. I've been blogging for many, many years about they keep attacking the local government here. The City of Vancouver and the NDP have only gone after the demand side. Tax everything to death. City of Vancouver told us that the reason the prices are so high is because of all the empty homes. And it was because of speculators and flippers. And it was the foreign buyers. Let's bump that tax up to 20%. And then it's the money launderers. What has it done for prices? Nothing, just as I predicted. How much money is that empty homes tax taking in? It's a pittance. That was going to bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars, which they were then going to go build a whole bunch of housing with. It hasn't come to fruition at all. Now, of course, the federal government parties here are talking about building more homes, more supply, which I agree with. But I don't know where these homes are going to be built. You notice how the City of Vancouver has been very quiet on this whole thing. Because I blogged about this. City of Vancouver speaks with forked tongue. On the one hand, they talk about making homes more affordable, but on the other side, they tax everything to death. Right now in Vancouver, you guys can look this up, the last numbers I saw, for every one-bedroom condo being built in the City of Vancouver, about $160,000 is going straight to the City of Vancouver. For every two-bedroom condo or townhouse, it's over $200,000 in the form of permits, zoning, inspections, getting it through all the NIMBYs, all the time it takes, which is years to run that gauntlet known as the City of Vancouver to get anything approved. They want all kinds of improvements done to the sidewalk, art installations, all that other stuff. All that does is just get passed on to the final selling price of these homes. I'm going to do another blog later this month talking about some of the new developments that are just getting sold now at $2,500 to $3,000 a square foot. That's going to be the new norm. One-bedroom condos now and some of these new towers going up downtown are going to be $1.2, $1.3, $1.4 million one-bedroom condos. But the City of Vancouver has their hand out at every corner here. You know, so good luck building a lot of these homes in the Lower Mainland, or especially in Vancouver, that they want to promise. But I think the Conservatives, with removing the stress test and encouraging and working with the banks for longer term mortgages, 10-year fixed mortgages, I think we should be looking at 15, 20, why not 25-year fixed term mortgages? You've locked in that interest rate. There's no uncertainty there anymore. We wouldn't need a stress test with that. Because that's the whole thing with the stress test. They're worried about interest rates. Well, when you're only locking in for 1 year or variable or 5 year, then for sure, you've got a lot of uncertainty with that. The other thing that they've talked about is outlawing the blind bids. And I am all for this. I have done, again, many blogs on this over the years about the bidding wars and the uncertainty you have there. The listing realtor tells you it's you and 5 other offers. Well, how do you know it's really you and 5 other offers? Now, they have lately done a check and balance on that, which I was on the real estate board for complaining to the real estate board for many, many years for more transparency in this way. In other words, you can check. If they say that you've got 6 offers, all 6 of those offers have to be submitted to the listing broker. That never was the case. So they've added a little more transparency with this, but I would be fine with an open bidding system where the bids are out there in the open. And I think it probably would have a little bit of an effect on pricing for sure. The blind bid, in a lot of cases, you could be bidding against yourself in multiple offers. And I've done a few blogs on that. I'm fine with that. But we'll see where all this goes here. City of Vancouver, been kind of quiet. I don't know where they're going to build all these homes in the City of Vancouver. But get out and vote. I think as far as building homes, that's a long ways away. I don't know where they're going to build these, 500,000 homes, I think. The other thing I saw here, NDP wanted to reintroduce 30-year amortization mortgages. You'll lock in for 1 to 5 year, but it's a 30-year amortization. They're talking about that'll make homes more affordable. Well, I don't know. In a way, it will. If you go from 25 to 30, it'll bring your monthly payments down. But overall, the cost of that home will go up. When you're extending your financing out another 5 years from 25 to 30, that's actually making the total purchase price of the home even more. So it's a little bit of sleight of hand with those kind of things. But get out and vote. Again, vote for the party that you think is going to interfere with you the least. That's what you have to look at with these things. These governments they're all inept, as I say. None of them are very good. You plug your nose and vote for the one you think is going to do the best job. But don't be counting on the government folks to do a whole lot about housing affordability, especially if you're living in Vancouver here. We can't get anything built here. It's a trickle-in supply. It's an incredibly desirable city. I feel for people. I think, if anything, the Conservatives, to get rid of that stress test, would have an immediate impact on your affordability right there. But get out and vote. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, I'll see you next week.